All right. Pardon the audio being a little weird on this one, but we're going to look at Florida governor candidate Bobby Williams, who got asked about maternity leave and had a really weird Christian nationalist like viewpoint on it. At one point, he does like a soft brag for socialism unknowingly. So we're going to take a look at that one. Oh, sorry.
No, ma'am.
Why do you say that?
Well, it's when we start supporting stuff, when does it end? You know what I'm saying? Corporations can put that, but I don't know how that goes. But, we live in a generation that's got to work. We keep giving and giving and giving and giving. It comes to a point, when's enough enough? I understand. I mean, every situation is different. And you can't, it's back to, we don't live in a socialist country. So you can't just give to one individual. It's an economic status. We live in a capitalist country. We got to quit being socialist. So
I love the idea that giving more than a day's worth of maternity leave is a socialist concept. Dude, give me that. Give me that. Sure. If you want to make that a socialist concept, then everybody in the US that's working class is going to say, hell yeah, let's get some socialism, dude. So, keep it up. Keep saying that. Love it. Wealthy,
but
they can do that.
I know many women who have a baby and go to work next day, because they got to pay bills. So
yeah, we all agree that's a horrible system, right?
Socialism kind of stuff, and
doesn't.
Yes, we need to spend time with our kids, but obviously, you work to get out of poverty, and you got to make that difference. It's sacrifice, and we have to have sacrifice in life, Christians, you learn.
The idea that in the wealthiest, largest, most powerful country in the U.S., this is why I say I'm more of a patriot than the Republicans here. Because I believe that we are an economic powerhouse. And if we decide to turn that economic powerhouse internally to helping our citizens thrive, like allowing for more maternity leave, allowing for things that would raise the birth rate, things like that, for problems they legit say they're worried about, then we would resolve these issues. We could resolve a lot of social issues with the money and power if we didn't put it into the military industrial complex and instead put it into lowering childhood poverty, allowing for maternity leave for people. Very basic things that most other first world nations get, like, universal health care. But he doesn't believe in that. He instead believes that we need to sacrifice, because by doing the sacrifice, just like what he believes in his religious background that he's pushing into the public domain, that's actually better for people if you don't get it. And what this is really, if we're being cynical, he's working on behalf of corporations, and the idea that you need to sacrifice, what are you sacrificing for? That maternity leave that you didn't get, what does it actually help? Because there's plenty of companies with plenty of profits, and they could, instead of getting $6 billion in profit, record high profits year over year, they could get less of a profit and their workers could get maternity leave. But instead, this guy says you need to sacrifice so that they can keep earning $6 billion worth of profit over there at Kroger or whatever, instead of you getting a better life. And he doesn't believe that people in the US deserve a better life, because he thinks you should work until you die, because that benefits the people who pay for his campaign and pay for his life, which is why he's such a zealous advocate for something like this. It's a very cucked mentality to think that you need to sacrifice everything for everyone else, and everyone else being corporations and not the people around you and your family. Notice that he's not saying sacrifice time at work and this other stuff so that you can be around your family more. He's saying sacrifice time around your family and time recovering from creating your family to give more back to companies, which is very anti-family values, anti-life, really, just anti-everything that is American. It's a very un-American, very unpatriotic thing to think. But they dress it up like it's Christianity, and that it's the most.
I believe that it ain't something we should give. Now, thing. Maybe a day or two or something like that, but full maternity leave and that kind of stuff, it's back to fruit. I see too many women who can do it. I think today we've created a lazy generation.
Women are too strong, so send them back to the mines.
What's next? Maternity leave, or, you see sick pay right now, and you see that, and you see people take advantage of it. So my thing is enough's enough of just charity and giving out. And I'm a charitable.
By taking advantage of it, he means women who use maternity leave because they had a child. Who is taking advantage of maternity leave? If they take advantage of it without having a child, that's called fraud, and that would be prosecuted, just like any other type of fraud. What he's mad is that people take days off when they are sick, unwell, unfit to work, because they need to live their lives outside of work. And he hates your family, dude. I mean, there's no other way to reasonably look at what he's saying here. Saying he's a charitable person is pretty funny after all that.
They run a ministry that helps people, but there's a difference in enabling and then creating a socialist country.
So I just love the fact that his version of a socialist country is one where you get more than 2 days of maternity leave. Just racking up socialists, racking up win after win, W after W. Paid maternity leave, if I can spell it right. State by state, US. Let's see if I can find a map here. Yeah. I'm gonna say I think I've seen one before. I don't know if this is it. Here to expand. There we go. Okay. US private sector. So public sector, obviously, you do get maternity leave. Let's see. What is it over on the East Coast? We got paid leave laws in places, and in California, laws extend to the Family Medical Leave Act and absence paid leave. So it looks like about a quarter of the U.S. has full paid leave. Paid leave laws in places in 4 different states there. And then paid leave bills or proposed but not actually done in another. And then the whole middle of the state, no protections. And then here in Washington, paid leave laws passed but not implemented, which this was as of when? Wish they would give a date for this thing. Where's this article from? 2016. So this has probably been updated since then, but you can kind of guess that most of the South, most of the middle of the country, not a lot of paid leave. Let's see if we can find one that's more. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Middle of the country, no paid leave required. And then 12 weeks. California at 7 weeks, a bunch of the East Coast. I mean, this is just like, you want to look at a map that shows that blue states are better than red states, dude. Like in general, you got Colorado, you got Oregon, Washington, California, Minnesota, and then a lot of the East Coast that goes blue. And you just get better benefits. First of all, these are also the states that, generally speaking, besides I think Colorado, have a surplus in their taxes, as in they're giving more to the federal government than they're taking in. Especially, I think Texas is one of the few Republican states that actually pays more into the federal government than they take in. But most of the countries like Missouri, Kansas, all this stuff are reaping the benefits of the taxes from these Democratic places. And yet these Democratic places give more benefits to their citizens. They have, generally speaking, a lot more infrastructure, a lot larger infrastructure, stuff like that. There's issues with that, which we've talked about here before, but and they're still taxing more and paying more. And why is that? Most major cities are huge tax bases because they condense a lot of people into a small amount of space, which means that you have the same infrastructure for a much larger base of people. If you have like 2 buildings in New York that have 1,000 people in them total between the two of them, and you're providing water and power to that city block, they could be on the same city block, basically on 2 sides of the same city block. You only had to make 1 set of roads for both of those, or maybe like 4 if you count every road around it or whatever. And then you had to run city water to the building and city electricity to each building. So you had to do that twice. If you do that, now they're bigger water pipes and like more electricity and stuff. But if you did that in the suburbs or out in the sticks, you would have to run roads all the way to that house for each individual of those 1,000 people, or let's say 500, because you have 2 people per household or 3 people per household. So you have anywhere from 300 to 500 houses instead of 2 buildings And now you have to run roads all the way out there. You have to run streetlights all the way out there potentially. I know sometimes, out in the boonies you don't, but you got to run electricity and cable and fiber optics, and you have to run water out there. You can go off septic and stuff, but generally speaking, if you are running all of that infrastructure out to people, it costs way more than that tax base is paying you. You think your individual taxes on your home out in the sticks is paying for that road that they have to pave and repave to come out to you? Even if they pave it once every 20 years, it's still more than you're paying in taxes, in property taxes, between when it's split up for that and for the public school system that you use and all that kind of stuff. So, it's just absolutely insane to think that we can't do better than this. And we can do better than this with socialism. As Bobby pointed out, you can pick capitalism, where you get no maternity leave and they just expect you to go back to work and get whipped so that you can make more money for Kroger and these mega corporations that are already making $6 billion a year, but they need that $7 billion. Or you can help with socialism, help with DSA, phone bank for Abdul Al-Sayed and some other socialist and progressive candidates, and you can make a better world where we can actually have maternity leave for people so they can live with a little bit of dignity in their life. Choice is yours. Ball's in your court. If you have not already, leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment. All of them help me in the algorithm, and I do not take any ad money. I don't run any ads myself. I'm not going to take any contracts take any ads, basically. So every little bit that you do really helps out, and I very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. Bye.